7 years ago, I decided to switch careers and go into programming. However, I did have two big worries. Will I lose interest in programming, and when? Am I even capable of learning this very tricky way of thinking? It's been 7 years of work and over 100 hobby projects. I now have answers to those two questions. It ended up being my best work-related decision ever made. Now I will show you my latest hobby project, and I hope it will leave you inspired to keep learning programming or even pick it up for the first time. Enjoy!
Every day, I spend so much time looking for the optimal route to commute to work. This is not gonna work. Being a developer, I have no excuses to not take care of this problem and make a nice experience for myself to find the optimal route to work. Even before leaving home, I need to decide between 2 buses and 2 trams, and they go from 3 different pickup points. And navigating all these buses, trams and different routes wastes 5 minutes or more every day I commute to work. So, depending on how long it takes me to build my own solution, I might be able to gain back that time and then become net negative of time. So the company responsible for the public transport in Gothenburg is called West Traffic, and they have an app that talks to an API. So if I just can figure out how I could talk to that API, I could build my own app and then aggregate different transport points together into one single feed, and then I could just figure out the best route with just one click. That sounds amazing to me.
Okay, so I'd like to illustrate why this is an issue. So when finding public transport, there's an option here that has a bus. There's an option here that has bus and tram. And there's another option here that has just a tram. If this one is the fastest one, then I have to make a change down here because that bus only goes there. So then it's a decision on what's the fastest bus to take, bus or tram to take from here. And from there, I can go here. Here is the second or third decision. Do I switch here? Because here there are buses that go straight to work sometimes. But it might be faster to continue here and then arrive here at the central station. So the central station has 3 different stops that has different options and different trams, different buses. So you can either be here or you can be here, and sometimes you'll come with another bus and go here, and then you have to decide, do I go here for the fastest bus to work or do I go here? This aggregates to me having to Google all these different stops, leading to so many searches in the app that it drives me crazy every morning. So if I could do this with just opening my own app, clicking once on a predetermined search that aggregates all these together, it would make my life a lot better. So hopefully you understand the benefit I could get from this app. Okay, let's see if we can get some API access here. I'll just do a random search and we see we have 3 requests. The first one I recognize is just a Google Analytics one. Then we have a request to API/token/public/new returns a token. Then we have journeys, we have links, and we have results. Let's see, we have a few results here. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 6 results in the list and we have 6 results here. So this seems very interesting. So we have is departed, and then we have trip legs. A trip leg has a bunch of information. Here we have something called line. Seems very interesting as well. Planned arrival time. I think this is what we're looking for in the API. So a good thing to try would be to open this in a new tab, essentially going with the browser towards the API. So here we see a problem. We have missing credentials. Make sure your API invocation call has header, authorization, bearer, access token. But we did see this request. We have a token here including 615E. So we can check if that header is present here then. Request headers, authorization bearer, and I do recognize this token hash being the one that is being delivered here. So hopefully if we just use this token, we will have programmatic access. Another thing I noticed was that in the request we have a bunch of query parameters, and they use for origin GID and destination GID. It's some form of ID for, I'm guessing it's these two, origin and destination. So probably I have to dig out these IDs, connect them to the names that I'm interested in, and have a mapping in the front end between the name and this ID. So I think we should try it in Insomnia. We try it with this token just to make sure we have proper access. Okay, so we're now in Insomnia. We can see that we get the missing credentials. But if I take the token that I just had in the browser, we do get a result here. So that's great. The API access is solved. Okay, so I created this configuration file for the app that we're going to build. So first I dug out the IDs for a bunch of different bus and tram stops here that I'm interested in. I made this configuration called decisions that maps a name of what the decision is. So this is going from home to work. So I have 3 different options of getting on public transport, 3 different stops, and the destination is work. So my plan is that it will be 3 requests, all receiving different departures, and aggregate them in the same list of departures and sort them on departure time, so I can get on a bus or tram as quickly as possible. These decisions will become like buttons on a home screen, so I can just click on one of the decisions that I need to make and then quickly get information on where to go. So now I have created a Next API route that works as a middle layer between the front end and the API that we looked at in the beginning. So from my front end, I pass to the Next API in the query parameters origin ID, destination ID, and of course the public token that we need to have to access the API. So I build up the API string, the URL with the query parameters. We execute the request, and then we filter those results that comes back, because we don't want results that where the bus or tram is already departed. So we filter those out. We make sure that there are at least 1 trip leg, and we make sure that of the trip legs that we receive, none of them are cancelled or partly cancelled, because then it doesn't make sense to show it. And then just return the results. And I plan to use React Query, because in React Query they have dependent queries. So I would first need to make a request to get the token, and calling this API endpoint will have a dependency on that the token is fetched first, and then we can use this one. So I will use React Queries dependent queries. And then of course we need to also make many requests and aggregate them together. And React Query has functionality for that too, so that you can they have a hook called useQueries. So I'm going to code that together, and then I'm going to go through that code as well. Okay, so let's take a look at how the front end will fetch this data, because I think I think React Query can really help out in simplifying a lot of this. So we use the React Query useQuery hook, and we call this query token, and it's just for fetching the token. And we need to have a token in order to execute the API for getting different routes. So if we look at the route queries, this enabled prop here, that makes sure that we have got a token before we execute this query, because we need to pass that token to the query. And this is not using the useQuery hook, this is using useQueries, because it's going to be multiple. We aggregate multiple requests together into a list of results, and they all get the same query key, so they will be aggregated in the departures query. And for each we pass in a different origin ID. So even though we perform multiple queries, they will all become aggregated into these departures responses. It will be like a growing array of finished queries that will populate the data of this array. So React Query can really help out when you want to do multiple queries and aggregate the data together, which is really nice. Okay, so I am now finishing up the UI coding, and what is cool about this specific API is that if you look at my typings of the API response here, you can see that a trip leg has a line, and the line has these properties. It has background color and foreground color. So I can match the real app, how that displays these lines, by utilizing the background color and foreground color. Essentially what they're set up is that they, from the backend side, can control how the front end is presenting these lines. So if they were to like rename a certain line and change the colors of it, and the front end could update just by the API changing what colors it sends down. Of course, it's a little bit of an overfetch to have it like this, because you might do multiple requests and you're always getting these color informations on every request, but it might be a good decision, you know. So I created this component called line icon that takes in these colors from the API, and that's how I got the display colors of each different line to work. So in order to make a progressive web app out of this, I added the manifest.json. So we describe the theme color, that it should be running full screen. We have an icon and so on. I designed an icon that looks like this. So this is the like logo of the public transport company. So I used that in the logo design, and I also added a Doge for funds. Okay, so here we have the app running. Let's say that I am in town and I want to go home. Then I need to aggregate 4 different pickup points. So this is exactly what I'm looking for. With just one click, I can see all the information and I can decide which one to go to and which bus or tram to jump on. So this is pretty amazing. I think it's so great that you can, with a progressive web app, get like the native app experience and the quickness and the convenience of a home screen icon that you just click and you go into full screen, and I just love to have that power. Okay, so I think I am becoming done with this now. I have all the functionality I need for now, and I've spent around 3 hours doing this. And if I can save around 5 minutes a day by using my own app instead, let's see, 3 hours would mean 180 minutes divided by 5 would be around 35 maybe, something like that. So if I use this every day for 35 or so work days, I could recoup my 3-hour development time. And I'm happy with that, because usually when I build stuff, it takes me too long, so it will take me like a year to regain my time. So I think this was a successful automation project where I can actually gain so much time that I quickly can recoup it. And also, of course, the pain is gone from using that other app that is not optimized for doing these types of things. Although it's a good app in all other aspects, but you can always make it even better if you just include your own specific use cases. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you got inspired to learn or inspired to start another hobby project and see it through and finish it. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, share the channel to a friend, all those good things. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.